We had been wandering through the woods for hours, the sun sinking behind the thick canopy, casting long, sinister shadows that seemed to stretch and twist. Our supplies were running low, and exhaustion was gnawing at us like a predator. Desperation led us to a clearing where, amidst the overgrowth, the silhouette of an abandoned summer camp emerged, forgotten, decaying, and eerily silent. The wooden signs were rotted and hanging by splinters, and the once vibrant paint on the cabins had faded into bleak, peeling scars. It felt wrong to be there, but the storm was closing in, and seeking shelter seemed like the only option. As we stepped onto the cracked gravel path, a metallic squeal echoed from somewhere deep within the woods, making my skin crawl. The air smelled stale, thick with mold and rot. Yet there was something else. A faint, sickening, sweet odor that clung to the air. I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. The silence was oppressive, broken only by our footsteps and the distant, unidentifiable sounds that seemed to echo from the shadows. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of the old cabins felt like a whisper of warning. We pushed forward, our nerves on edge, hoping to find some refuge before nightfall. Inside the closest cabin, the darkness was almost tangible. Our flashlights flickered as they struggled against the suffocating gloom. Peeling wallpaper, broken furniture, and shattered glass littered the floor. Amidst the debris, I noticed childish drawings scrawled on the walls, distorted figures with exaggerated limbs, and a tall, shadowy figure with too many arms that seemed to crawl out of a nightmare. The drawings sent a shiver up my spine. Who had been here? And what had they seen that haunted them so badly? I felt a cold sweat break out, but I forced myself to look away, telling myself it was just the decay of time. Then I found the log. It was a battered, leather-bound book, half buried beneath a pile of broken toys. The pages were stained and torn, but one entry caught my eye. It was a frantic, trembling note from a camper claiming they were being hunted by something, a creature that played a deadly game, trapping children one by one. The words seemed to drip with terror, and the final line was almost indecipherable. The game never ends. It's always watching, waiting for the next round. My stomach clenched. This wasn't just an abandoned camp. It was a place where something malevolent had taken root, and it was still very much alive. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed from the woods outside, followed by a guttural growl that made my blood run cold. My companion and I froze, clutching each other in shared fear. The shadows outside seemed to ripple and stretch, as if the darkness itself was alive. I whispered, trying to calm my trembling voice. But I knew that whatever was out there, it knew we were inside now. The feeling of being watched intensified, pressing down on us like an invisible weight. We had no choice but to explore further, desperate to find a way out. Or so we thought. As we moved deeper into the camp, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had crossed some invisible line. The air grew colder, thicker with dread. A sudden, sharp scream pierced the night, and I saw my companion's face drain of color. It was close, so close. Whatever was lurking in the shadows wasn't just some story from the past. It had been waiting, patiently, for us to arrive. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. This game wasn't over. We were the new players, and the creature had already begun its hunt. But what exactly was it? And how had it survived all these years? I didn't want to know the answer. Not yet. The scream had come from somewhere just beyond the broken fence, and instinct took over. We ran blindly through the tangled undergrowth, branches clawing at our clothes and faces, the oppressive darkness closing in around us. Whatever was out there had revealed itself in that scream, a guttural, animalistic sound that chilled me to my core. We pushed forward, stumbling over roots and debris, desperate to find an escape. Every shadow seemed to pulse with malevolent intent, as if the camp itself was alive and feeding on our fear. Suddenly, we burst into a clearing where an old, rusted playground stood eerily still. And there, in the dim glow of our flickering flashlight, I saw it. The creature. Not a single monstrous beast as I had feared, but something disturbingly humanoid, tall with elongated limbs and too many arms that sprouted from its torso like grotesque appendages. Its eyes gleamed with a sick, unnatural intelligence, and it moved with a jerky, unnatural gait. I froze, paralyzed by the realization that this was the entity from the drawings, the one that had hunted the children. It had been waiting, growing stronger, feeding on their fear. Before I could scream or run, the creature lunged at us with terrifying speed. My companion was caught in its grasp first, screams muffled as the creature's multiple arms tore into him with brutal efficiency. I watched, helpless, as his body was dragged into the shadows, leaving behind only a spray of blood and torn clothing. I felt a wave of nausea and panic surge through me, and I turned to flee, only to find the creature blocking my path, its many limbs writhing like a nest of serpents. Its mouth opened wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth, and I knew I was next. But then, something shifted. The creature hesitated, as if it recognized me, or perhaps it had been waiting for me all along. Its eyes flickered with a strange, flickering intelligence, and it spoke, not in words, but in a guttural, echoing whisper that seemed to come from the very woods themselves. "You are the last," it hissed. "The game ends when I say so." Suddenly I understood. This was no mindless monster. It was a guardian of some dark, ancient secret, a creature bound to a cursed game that had lasted for decades. It fed on fear, yes, but it also played a role, one that I was now fated to finish. Desperation overtook my terror. I remembered the drawings, the log, the whispers of the camp's dark history. If I could outsmart it, maybe I could break the cycle. Clenching my fists, I backed away, pretending to be compliant, baiting it to close the gap. As it lunged again, I dodged, grabbing a broken branch and swinging with all my strength. The creature screeched, recoiling momentarily, and that was my chance. I sprinted toward the thick woods, hearing its furious growls behind me, echoing like a symphony of nightmare sounds. I don't know how I escaped that cursed place, but I did. When I finally burst out of the woods, dawn was breaking, and the camp had vanished behind me, consumed once again by nature's relentless reclaiming. I never looked back, but I carry the scars, inside and out. The horror didn't end that night. The creature's whisper still haunts me, reminding me that the game is far from over. And sometimes, late at night, I swear I hear those many arms scraping the walls of my mind, waiting for their next player to arrive.